Hello, Kitty Patooties. Over the weekend, I went to a vintage store that I've actually never been to, which is kind of a rarity for me. And this store has a lot of good reviews. It's one of these treasure hunt places where there's so much stuff. There's clothes, there's furniture, there's tchotchkes, there's jewelry, and you could literally spend hours in here. Sadly, I was unimpressed by the store, but just based on the amount of clothing racks when I walked in, I was so excited. But looking through everything, there were a couple things I really liked, like this dress, this three-piece suit, vest, pants situation, this jacket. A lot of stuff had moth holes in it, and a lot of stuff wasn't actually true vintage. It was, I mean, at least for the clothing, some stuff was 60s, but a lot of it was like Y2K and modern stuff. But I wanted to keep looking around because they had a lot of cool stuff, like these patterns from the 60s. They had a big men's section. They had a lot of ties, a lot of vintage hats. This is one of my favorite pastimes, looking at cool vintage stuff, even if I don't intend on buying anything, but I always find something, you know? The furniture was cool. There was a cool record collection, but at this place, I ended up not wanting to give them my money, and I will show you in a moment why that is. But anyway, while I was here and I realized I wasn't going to buy anything, I overheard, I don't know if it's the salesperson or the guy who owns it, he was telling another customer, oh, there's a vintage store down the street and they have a ton of vintage in the basement. So I was like, okay, this is not a wasted trip. I will head over there after. But look at all this cool stuff. It's a shame, really, because I might have purchased something. But I love looking at buttons, and I saw this one, and I said, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I've seen enough. On my way out, there was a shoe section with a very cute cat all cuddled up on a chair. And you know what? I'm not a big boycotter. It's whatever. People are allowed to say their opinion. And I was kind of sad that I didn't want to buy anything from that store because that was a cute J.W. Anderson Uniqlo collaboration. Anyway, I moved on to greener pastures. I'm not saying it's right, but it pays to eavesdrop on other people's conversations because this vintage store that guy recommended to that other customer was incredible. This was an entire basement full of many vendors selling their vintage wares. And when I tell you, I think I spent over 2 hours in this store, and I could have spent my entire weekend here just looking through everything. It was actually overwhelming. You'll see a shot of the whole basement. It was literally floor to ceiling, crammed nooks and crannies with vintage. I only filmed a tiny percentage of what was in this basement, and I actually felt more free to film than I normally do because there were only like 1 or 2 other people in there the whole time I was there. But it was actually amazing. This is like my ideal weekend. Okay, put me in a room with a bunch of old crap and I will spend hours going through it. I'm not even really a tchotchke person. I mostly just collect vintage clothes. That hat, stunning. But I just love looking, especially at mid-century stuff. The glassware and the porcelain, the little salt and pepper shakers. Oh my gosh. And there was so much cashmere. So this vendor, I actually found a sweater that I have had a similar sweater in my Etsy cart for a couple days, and it was $75. This sweater literally fell off the hanger into my hand. Okay, it was a sign, and it was $25, and I knew it would fit me. Most of the clothing was from the 80s, and honestly, I despise 80s fashion. I think it was the worst decade for clothes, but it actually makes it easier for me to find what I am looking for. Oh my gosh, that pirate hat I thought was cool, because I know what style, what silhouette, what the tags I'm looking for in terms of 60s, 70s fashion. This dress I thought was cute, but it was way too big. Sometimes I will get things altered if it's too big for me and I like the style, but this I passed on. I have to go back to the store for like a full afternoon because I was so focused on finding clothes. I feel like I really missed out on some cute stuff. And there's just so much stuff. It's honestly overwhelming. Like, I kept walking back through vendors I had already walked through because I felt like I missed stuff. This little cat and this salt and pepper shaker. It's like a farmer and his wife. Oh my gosh. And there's little egg cups next to them. I have to go back. Look at those glass fish. There's just so much stuff I didn't even see until now. But anyway, I wanted to get to the back room. Oh, there's me. Hi. Because I saw there was a huge rack of clothes that I wanted to look through. It ended up being a kind of a disappointment because they were really 80s stuff, and that's, again, not my vibe. But out of the corner of my eye, I did spot a seersucker jacket that ended up being a Sears brand from the 70s, I guess, or 60s. Sears jacket. Here's a clip of me trying it on, and I try on the Anchor sweater too. I'm so into the nautical vibe. Like, put me on a yacht and call me captain and get me on Gilligan's Island, okay? A 3-hour tour. I don't know why I didn't take my hat off, okay? But anyway, I tried on this jacket too, which fit perfectly, but honestly, I don't really wear that much brand, and I do have a velvet jacket that's similar to this. I don't want to talk too loud, but I feel like this is a good representation of how I shop and where I shop. I know people always ask me in the comments, like, oh, where do you shop? How do you shop? Like, how do you find things? This is a good representation. Like, I know my style very well. I know what I'm looking for. I know what's going to fit me, and I, like, zone in on what I want. It really helps to go to a place like this where it's a lot of vendors in one space. That happens a lot here, actually, where it's like one retail space with a lot of vendors. So that's helpful, like vintage markets, that kind of thing. I love these little cups and saucers and this little fondue set. Honestly, it looks like they have Tupperware there too. I want to make all my Tupperware 70s, you know what I'm saying? And make my whole life 70s. Turns out there were people there, and that's my face after I realized I was talking out loud and somebody was right there. And there were skates on the floor. Okay, so I'm gonna come back here. Let me know if you want to see another vlog. Bye!